Hi there, good morning, good afternoon. I just wanted to let you know that we're both perfectly okay and that as far as I know everyone in Reykjavik is okay. There might have been some minor damages elsewhere, but I don't know of any because, obviously other people live closer than we do. We're around 20, maybe 25 miles away from Kalia, which is the little mountain that the largest earthquake with a magnitude of 5.6 struck quite near to. And of course that's not far from the international airport, Blauwlonith, the famous Blue Lagoon, and other places such as the towns of Keflavik in Reykjanes and Hafnarfjörður. They're all much closer than Reykjavik. But there have been no reports of damage, although some people obviously felt a little bit disturbed by it and lights flickered in places. But as you can see, my pictures are still firmly bolted to the wall. My flowers are still standing in their vase, and the shaking was really very minor in this apartment and most buildings, if not all buildings. But it's a strange feeling because you feel it in your body, and it's one that I can't really describe. It's a little bit like, I suppose, saying that you feel it I feel it most in the areas where I've got most soft tissue. So I feel it particularly in my belly, and that sounds strange, but it's like that is shaking. You feel it through your feet on the floor, but then the next place where I feel it is my midsection, and I'm certainly not conscious really of the apartment moving. I don't see anything that's like movement, but I feel it through the floor, and as I say, I feel it in my body. I don't know what would happen if I'd been laying down at the time, whether I would have felt it then or not, although I think I possibly would. So we are fine. There have been a few aftershocks, as often happens, because in recent times there's been a pattern with the earthquakes on the Reykjanes Peninsula. It happened also, back in the autumn and earlier, so it's not an unusual activity. But what happens is there's always earthquakes there, or most of the time. But then, they're too small for people to feel, but they are measured. And then what happens is you'll get I always say it's like a wave. They start to build, and then often there's nothing more. But they'll start to build, and you might get 1 or 2 over 3. But we don't really feel those here, not in Reykjavik. But then sometimes it will be like a wave. There was a wave yesterday when it started to build, and sometimes that happens and nothing more comes. And then today it happened again, and when we looked at it this morning, it was very obvious it was either going to build or it was just going to be a little, wave of increases, and then it would go away again. But it built, and very close to just after 10. Or just before 10, I can't remember which, but I think it was just after, we felt the biggest one, and then we get a few more large quakes. But we've had, I think it's probably now over 40 over 3, and they're going to be doing a news bulletin here at noon, and that's going to be interesting because, the scientists will have some opinions on this probably by then, and also to assess how people have experienced it. I know people that were living close did feel a little bit more alarmed than usual because it was a few bigger quakes rather than just 1 or 2. But what I wanted to say is we are absolutely fine. The aftershocks seem to have diminished or died away. the bigger ones that we can feel here. I'm not talking about in the local area, because unless I'm looking at the local meteorological office website, I don't know what is happening there, and I'm here talking to you. But just to rest assured, we are fine, and probably nothing more will be perceived in Reykjavik, and it will all go nice and quiet. That is what we hope for, because obviously it's a bit disturbing for the local residents to have to put up with this. But you know, that's what we hope for, and that's what usually happens. So I just want everybody to be able to see that we're perfectly fine, and that it's calming down, or seemingly it's calm at the moment. That's what we can say.